You want that on video?
The Real Estate Addicts Podcast.
Welcome.
With your hosts, Mark Savatsky, Chief Boston.
Ray Hurto, RH Investment Group.
Dan Rubin, RH Investment Group.
Guys.
And
Mark.
This is it.
Yeah, Ray, this is it.
No, this episode is brought to
Oh,
you
yes.
by The Union, which is a collaborative real estate. It's a co-working space for real estate professionals. Our soft launch was April 1st. That's like when you open the restaurant, but you only invite your friends in case, it takes 2 hours to get food.
How'd the food come out?
The food so far is excellent.
It is not a restaurant.
No, honestly, like the energy in there.
That's good.
It's been awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, we're like co-founders of it as well, and it's a very cool space. I have to admit, like you did a really good job with it, and
We'll have to do some episodes from there for sure. If you'd have us. Oh, now.
I'm doing what you do.
Every week, Mark has dissected the microphones here in this episode.
This is comical. This is not a judgment of how Mark built any of his products.
I mean, I've seen like screws, nuts, and bolts fall.
This is
not good.
Work, okay? I'm doing demolition. All right. On the ballot right now, Massachusetts is rent control.
Yes.
It's a hot topic. There's a ton of discussion back and forth. I think folks likely know where we stand on it, but there's a little more to the story. And Ray has been educating Dan and I. So we're going to kick this one to Ray. Ray, tell us what it passes, right? Let's say it passes. Do you think it's going to pass? And if so, what does that mean? But take those one by one.
Well, maybe we should back up and like, how did we get to this point, right? Like,
how do we get to this on the ballot?
Correct.
Yeah. So a petition was started by ordinary citizens. And it's funny, if you read those, you'll find like half of them are the same, like 3 people. So someone's really active out there creating petitions. But it's no surprise that the rent is too damn high. And people are rebelling and they want rent control in place. And Mark's going to definitely try and make me laugh on this. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or anything, do us a favor. Just check out YouTube and this is entertainment.
This is entertainment.
So
it's fine.
So it started as a petition. It got enough signatures to get on the ballot. The AG, the Attorney General, Andrea Campbell, she's certified that it will go on the ballot. But before we get to the specifics of it, because, we'll cover high level, like what it is. Essentially, it repeals Chapter 40P, which was the 1993 and 94 ballot initiative where they essentially banned rent control statewide.
Yeah, so Massachusetts did have rent control for a very long time.
It had local options, and I believe Brookline, Cambridge, and I'm forgetting the third. Was it Boston? Yeah. They all implemented some flavor of it. And, the interesting thing about Massachusetts is that everything that you want to bring locally that it would be a statewide issue or even something locally like a home rule petition. So City of Boston's tried to do this a bunch of times, passing some form of rent stabilization, rent control. It still has to get signed off at Beacon Hill, right? It's got to go to the State House. And while Massachusetts leans heavy to the left, the state as a whole is more balanced. And even at one point in time,
you mean Boston?
Well, no. Massachusetts would pass something, and then it's still got to get signed off at the state level.
Boston passed something.
Boston would pass something.
You just basically said that the state is very liberal, but fortunately, the state.
Well, yes, as a whole, as a whole. I mean, I would say if you say Massachusetts, people are thinking Democrat.
I guess I would say Eastern Massachusetts.
Eastern Mass. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. There's enough more balanced representation. So long story short, you can have really strong feelings in one jurisdiction, and you still need to go through the state for what you want.
And
yeah, it is. It's things kind of, but a lot of people get frustrated because nothing happens.
If you put something on the ballot and the people vote to pass it, does the state legislature still have the option to repeal it or say no?
That was something we looked into. Like, does the governor have veto power? And she does not. So Maura Healey is our state governor here, and she has come out against it publicly. Here in Boston, Mayor Wu is for it, obviously, but she wants a different flavor. So it's kind of interesting that even when you have these goals align.
Yeah. What's the flavor?
So the flavor is 5% maximum annual increase or CPI, Consumer Price Index, whichever's lower. So if inflation's like 3%, you can only go up on rents 3%, even if and this is what we gravitate towards, like even if our expenses go up more. So there are some other carve-outs, like if you live in a owner-occupied building, you don't have to do it.
Enormous. Is there like a cap?
No, it's 5%.
5%.
Yeah, you can't.
Well, no, I'm saying like, what if you get like massive inflation? And
Yes, 5%.
5%.
So it's
or
a ceiling.
CPI, whichever is low.
That's crazy right now. I mean, with oil doing what it's doing and all the rest.
There's, I mean, look at back when like we had really bad winter.
To me, it's like if you're going to tie it to it, then tie it to it.
Right.
It's 10% that year.
I mean, what happens if
you're only capped to 5?
I mean,
what happens if
that means our costs went up by 5%?
Here's the real correct. What if CPI is negative? Like, what if there's deflation? I mean, it doesn't happen often, but COVID was a great example of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you have to lower your rents? So I don't know what this means in terms of implementation, like rent control boards and this and that and the other thing. It's a legislative nightmare and burdensome to implement in the first place. But I actually want to talk about the state audit. Familiar with that?
Well, just quickly, there are, like you said, there are a few carve-outs, right?
Yeah.
Owner-occupied homes, I think, 4 units or less?
4 units or less, yep. And new construction.
Are exempt. And owner-occupied.
So if you own a 3-family, 4-family?
And you live in it, but you're exempt.
But if you're just a small key landlord.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And new construction.
New construction, you're exempt for 10 years.
10 years. And I don't know if they're trying to backdate that. That's the other thing, is they're trying to sort of do this retroactive thing. Like California probably put it in their head. They want to increase their state income tax. And they go, well, if you left the state 5 years ago, you're still part of it somehow. I'm like, all right, let's see if that's just.
But they haven't really, like, what if you're doing what if you buy a 20-unit existing building and you got it? Is that considered new construction, or is that not considered new construction?
It would not be included.
It's not.
Nope.
Then
so
that's why.
So if you essentially, even on turnovers, think of like New York City, right? New York City has rent stabilization. That's why all these units are mothballed, because the ball has gotten so far off the court. Like, you're not even playing basketball anymore. The ball's in a swamp. It's deflated.
Big analogy.
Yeah, I mean, New York City has rent stabilization, and so you'll hear about units that just kind of sit vacant because they're decrepit, they've been run down. The cost to renovate them, you can't increase the rent and come back and recoup it. So let's say the unit's $1,000 and you bring it back to market, you could increase it by $30. That's 3%. And don't quote me on those numbers, but long story short, on that end, you can't readjust and reset. It's almost,
there's no incentive to renovate or improve your unit.
You'll always get $1,030. Like,
correct,
whatever. Just
correct.
Pay me. This sucks that I have to rent it.
The 5% is not worth spending $50,000 because your return on that $50,000 is 20 years.
Right. And a lot of people, I can already hear the YouTube comments, oh, poor, rich, landlords not wanting to increase the rent. And, God forbid you fix a unit. Like, the dollars matter. There's only so many dollars. This isn't the government, right? We are a private business, and we can't just issue bonds and just borrow money. So
if you're capped at 5% and then inflation is 7%, and then the city of Boston raises your taxes 10% or 13%.
Like they just did.
So now your taxes are raised 13%. You're plus the 3% over inflation of the 5% cap. So it's like every year you're just going to continue to bleed.
Yeah, it's I think what's going to really speak to people is the financial argument. So basically, everyone's taxes went up this past year, and it's because the value of the commercial downtown spaces plummeted, and that's and the rent rolls and the assessed values plummeted. So what we took in as a city plummeted, and ipso facto, everyone's residential tax rates went way up.
They did.
You had to make up for that shortfall. So if you impose this, all of the downtowns and those office spaces and those big multifamily buildings, I just think they're going to suffer. And as a result, everyone who owns a house and pays for real estate taxes is going to suffer more.
Yeah. At the end of the day,
that's what I hope carries the day.
Yeah. At the end of the day, when you're talking about a municipal budget and taxes for real estate, you've got to understand here's the total dollars we need to spend for the year. Here's our approved budget. Here's the total tax base, and here's how it chops up. And yes, commercial and residential are separate, but I think the unintended consequences that everyone seems to always say we're crying wolf on is that, oh, they're not going to build more, or it's going to slow down, or it's not going to slow down, or we'll still be able to increase taxes and get more money from the landlords. And it's just not going to happen. There's a lot of downstream effects. But I wanted to get back to the state audit in 2024. Did you guys know that the voters here passed a petition saying that we're going to audit the state legislative branch? Did you know that?
No.
Okay, so that was on the ballot.
Why was it on the ballot? Who cares?
I think, from what I've read, Massachusetts has a very strong constitution that protects the legislative branch from any kind of oversight. Only the legislative branch can really create like an ethics committee internally and have oversight. And I think with all the things that have been happening geopolitically, nationally and locally, the state auditor wants to find out, like, where did some of the money go? But the problem there is that by asking that question, the legislative branch is saying, no, that's like asking to audit, instead of the finances, you're going to start auditing our legislative process, and you're going to have scope creep, and you're going to start seeing things that you're not supposed to see, or touching those things.
Like what?
They're just giving examples. Like, you're going to end up, seeing how like caucuses are run, or things that you're not supposed to. Yeah, things that you're not supposed to see or be in scope. Why am I bringing this up? I know. Why am I bringing this up? I know Mark is glazing over.
Yeah.
I'm bringing it up because even though the voters voted for this, 72% said yes. Say you get the same turnout for rent control, and you could have the same parallels to marijuana, for example. Like, when it passed in the state, they didn't take the exact text that was given to them that passed on the ballot. It's still a statute. It still has to go through the legislative process. So with Maura Healey being against it, and others not coming out in full support of it, and this legislative audit not happening and being fought tooth and nail, I think there's the potential that maybe some more balanced reasoning may happen after.
So you're saying
if it passes.
So you're saying if it passes,
yes,
then the legislature still has the option to tweak the language?
Absolutely.
Oh.
So
what's the whole purpose of
freaking out
voting on something?
Well, I mean, that's the power of the legislative branch here in Massachusetts. And so this is more of like a therapy thing. Like, hey, let's not freak out about rent control. We hear about it all the time. Obviously, we don't want any of it. But if it does come, I certainly hope that the same amount of energy that's put into protecting the legislative branch will be put into providing some rational thought.
Should we make some small little wagers here and come back and revisit this in November?
I think we should. And I think it's important that we had this discussion. And I know you guys have been harping on this for a while, but
I think you brought something new to the conversation.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a question that we get all the time. Is it going to pass? And I don't have a crystal ball.
Right.
Dan and I disagree. I don't think it will.
I think it will.
Yeah, I think Dan and I think it will.
I think it's going to pass.
And then where I'm going to differ now is having gone down this journey and learning all these different parts of the legislative process, is whether or not we're going to actually see it in its raw form, that it passes as the petition's written, or if it's going to be tweaked.
No, it'll be tweaked.
I mean, I can tell you right now that other people that I've spoken to, like larger developers, I can say that there's definitely a pause in people that are looking and acquiring and kind of waiting to see what happens.
Right? Yeah, I would say that NAIOP is starting a big advertising campaign.
NAIOP is?
It's like a trade association for real estate developers and professionals, but it's focused largely on what I was mentioning earlier, which is that, like, Joe homeowner, your taxes are going to go up if this passes.
Yeah, and you're going to hear a lot of... And I think that's the problem with this, is I just wanted to bring sort of this middle of the road. I don't want to have a bias one way or the other. I do think that, obviously I'm against it personally, but I do think that it's way more nuanced than a lot of the headlines give credit to. I hate the headline articles and stories because you got to get into the weeds a little bit. And Dan knows this. Dan knows. See, the problem is I will go so far into the weeds that I'm into the roots.
Ray has been asking us to do this episode for like 6 months.
But not in this incarnation.
As far as you hoped?
No, not in this incarnation. I wanted to talk about it from a middle of the road type thing. Like, what do we think will happen? And then this state audit thing is quite interesting if you follow it, and if you don't follow it, I mean, it's pretty interesting to see the Attorney General is the only one that can represent the state auditor. And then the Attorney General has chosen to represent the legislative side. And now the Supreme Judicial Court's going to get involved. Now, do I think this is going to if rent control passes, do I think it's going to be play out the exact same way? Hell no. I think there's going to probably be some infighting, and maybe you'll see some of these trade groups come through and try to claim it's unconstitutional or it's some kind of takings. But there's rent control in other places, so I don't know if it's going to reach that level. I'm not really sure.
Find out. I mean, there's lawsuits now against affordable housing,
a similar legal premise.
Yeah,
which is to say, like, it's an illegal taking of property.
Yeah.
So
find out.
I don't get like if you own restaurants, you don't have to seat like 20% of your diners who can't run food stamps and can't afford food. Like, great if you do, and if you're a developer and you want to subsidized in that way, like, fantastic. Like, why is this the one profession? Pharmaceuticals aren't even forced to sell their life-saving products at a certain rate. Why does real estate fall into this special category?
Probably the biggest line item of people's lives, right? Like, it's supposed to be a third of their income in theory, in a healthy economy. And here it's probably closer to 50%, but
car dealerships don't have to sell to a specific.
No,
they need to sound like Japanese or Scrooge. There's certainly charitable stuff, and I'm here for it. But like, I just don't like being forced.
Well, it's like a grocery store. Give away 30% of your food. Yeah. So I'm with you. It'll be quite interesting. So,
all right.
I don't know.
We'll see everyone in November.
Well, hold on. Let's get some comments. What do you think? Right? Like, let us know what you think, or if we missed something. And we can do another episode. I'll jam this back onto the agenda.
All right. Leave in the DMs. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you all listening and rating and subscribing.
And check out the Union.
Yeah.
See you next one. Later.